Thanks, Eileen. Thank you very much.
It's the Ray Dasher Show on RTE Radio 1. Have a great summer.
Thanks, Dermot. Good afternoon on this Monday afternoon. How are you? Thanks very much to Catherine for keeping the seat warm for the last couple of weeks. 51551 for your texts as usual, and ray@rte.ie for your emails. I'll take my time today because I'm just back and it feels like I've never done it. I suppose that's the sign of a good holiday, is it? I was trying to do the maths on a good Irish holiday, and I'll share it with you now, right? I'll share it with you, right? So if you get, I was thinking 50% good days, you know, dry days with a bit of sun. They can be cloudy, but a bit of sunshine. So if you get 50% good days on an Irish holiday, you're doing well. So that's the first one. 75% chip days. That's important. So you can have chips on 75% of your days. That's the rule on holidays, right? Fine. You have to eat outside 4 times al fresco. That doesn't matter this year because you have to eat outside. And then you have to have a farmer's tan. There has to be some sort of line somewhere that suggests to people that you're out in the sun. Now, I was brilliant with the factor 30, but you know, and this is the final thing. It doesn't happen that often when you holiday in Ireland. But if you're asked by a number of people, have you been away? That means it's been a good holiday. So I've been asked by 3 people already today. Were you away? Were you away? Now, I was wearing shorts and sandals in the supermarket at 9:15 this morning, so that was probably a giveaway that I was away. So they're the stats. That's how you 50% good days, as in the weather, 75% chip days, 4 al fresco meals, a farmer's tan, and at least 3 people asking you, have you been away? So if you can tick all those boxes, you've had a good Irish holiday. Shorts this morning. I'm not fashionable at all when it comes to the shorts. Seemingly, ladies and gentlemen, I'll share this with you now. This is going to be a thigh guy summer. That's difficult to say if you're from Kildare. A thigh guy summer. So THIGHGUI, as in a man or a male, and summer. Because the shorts are getting shorter. And on TikTok, hundreds of videos have been posted. And women are saying that they would never date the perfect man if he wore shorts longer than a 5.5-inch inseam. So they were telling me this on the Zoom call this morning, so I got the measuring tape out and I measured my inseam because I was still in the shorts. And my inseam on my shorts 10 inches, so I'm way out of line when it comes to fashion. I'd say it started with Paul Mescal, did it, with his O'Neill shorts, and now there's various stars like Milo Ventimiglia. He's the star of This Is Us. His are shorter than the O'Neill shorts. So, lads, if you want to be fashionable and attractive to women on TikTok, you have to get shorter shorts. It won't be me. Just above the knee will do me. Thank you very much for the shorts. 10 inches. I never knew that they measured inseams on shorts. But now you know. 5.5. Anything more than that, you won't get the whistles. Are people allowed whistle anymore at anybody? No. Morning Ireland. I was in the car this morning driving back up and I was listening to Morning Ireland and Paul Cunningham came on and he was given the lowdown on what's happening over the next few days with NPHET and then the special committee and then the cabinet and then maybe the announcement tomorrow evening of whether indoor dining and pubs will reopen as planned or whether it will be pushed out to the 19th of July. And he was there doing what he does, and he does it brilliantly, Paul Cunningham, but he was doing it from home. And there are hazards. There are hazards of working from home. You know, they just get intrusions, don't you? Like famously that man who was doing BBC World Service and his children came in and then his wife came in and he went viral. Of course, loads of things have happened since then because so many people are working from home. That poor guy with the cat thing, he was brilliant, wasn't he? He was a lawyer in Texas and he was on some serious pre-court, pre-trial thing and he was using his assistant's laptop and she'd left one of those cat filters on it. And he had to, sorry, it is still funny, he had to say to the judge, I'm not a cat. I'm not a cat. Anyway, this morning on Morning Ireland, Paul Cunningham bringing us up to date with what's going to happen over the next few days with NIAC and NPHET and various cabinet committees, and he's broadcasting from home, is Paul.
Then the Taoiseach Micheál Martin would give an address from the steps of government buildings announcing what the decision had been. However, these things usually have a way of beginning to leak out. So it's possible we will have an indication of what's happening by 9 or 10 o'clock tonight from the COVID subcommittee.
I think there's an opinion emerging behind you there as well, Paul. What about vaccines and international travel?
When it comes to vaccines, NIAC is due to consider its recommendation about what's going to happen to vaccines, in particular whether or not younger people are going to be able to access.
Oh, he wanted to be heard. He was being ignored by his owner, who was doing his best to ignore him. And then the people in Morning Ireland, Gavin Jennings and the team, thought, well, that dog deserves a special mention. So at the end of Morning Ireland this morning...
Our team today on sound, Tom Norton, our broadcast coordinator, Amandine Passo Devine, editors Brendan Fitzpatrick and Lisa Pereira, special guest Luna the dog, and the series editor is John Burke.
Luna the dog is a 2.5-year-old golden cocker spaniel. Originally hails from South Tipperary. We got all this information from Paul himself. And her parents, as in Luna's parents, Radar, O'Reilly and Sunshine. And she got official credit there. Probably get a fee in the post. See, these are the hassles. I'm looking at a picture of Luna. Lovely looking dog. And brought a smile to my face this morning. You know, like it's not the crack really, is it? It's not supposed to be the crack. But when you get a little bit of diversion like that on Morning Ireland, it's great. Comedy legend Mel Brooks celebrates his 95th birthday today. Wow. 95, he's still driving. You know, he's made plays, movies, songs, everything. He's a writer, director, producer, actor. He's made The Producers, Blazing Saddles, Young Frankenstein. He's one of the few entertainers, actors, people who with an EGOT. Do you know what an EGOT is? So he's won an Emmy, E, a Grammy G, an Oscar O, and a Tony T. He got them all. You know, he got them. No, it doesn't matter. Yeah, and I remember I would have played his song back in 1981. It was a big record on the dance floor.
In the alleys of Paris, they was eating rats, but it was filet mignon for the aristocrats. There was dukes and counts and barons.
Come on, Mel.
I gave them the titles, but I kept the girls. Blondes, redheads, wild brunettes, ladies in waiting. I didn't wait to get. There was truffles for breakfast, tarts for brunch. The line of the Follies here for lunch. Oh yes, it's good to be the king. Ooh la la, gee, but it's good to be the king.
Mel Brooks.
Say it, girl.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Mel Brooks, 95 today. William Shatner's in the papers today. He's 90, not today. He celebrated his 90th birthday recently. He's in a new movie called Senior Moment, and he has a new album out later on in the summer, Love, Death and Horses. And he says he's at his most productive ever in his 90s. And he's getting an interview there to, I think, The Guardian. And he's talking about his earlier days where there's an uncertainty when you're an actor. And you do a good job and then you're sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring and you're not enjoying it at all. But now, in his 90s, happy in his own skin, doesn't drink, doesn't smoke, getting loads of work, happy out. William Shatner. He's a lot of fans in Ireland. A lot of fans.
She came from Greece. She had a thirst for knowledge. She studied sculpture at St. Martin's College. That's where I caught her eye.
Yeah, make you smile, wouldn't it? Well done to everybody in the INEC over the weekend. Christy Moore was in concert in one of those restricted, socially distanced, COVID validated type gigs, and great reviews coming in. And Christy, and I know from talking to him that he would have loved the experience. He's quoted in the papers today, just walking out here and starting to sing and getting a bit of feedback and hearing people singing a few choruses and a few hecklers and a bit of crack. God, I'm dying for it. So he was over the moon, been back on stage with people, real people, who can clap and sing along in front of him. And we're edging towards normality. But I heard Simon Harris on Morning Ireland this morning, and it had a nice ring to it. It's a race, the vaccine against the variant. And that's what NIAC and NPHET and the government have to do. They have to juggle those two things. The Delta variant and the vaccination. And of course, as Leo Varadkar said a few weeks ago, every week we delay opening things up. The more people are vaccinated, they're doing 300,000 a week now. And now there's the talk about AstraZeneca and Janssen and should they give it to younger people. And we were just talking about this morning, and like the younger people are the people who are out. They're the people who are most likely to be in the pub and eating out, and they're the people who are, in the main, working in hospitality. So it makes sense that they would be vaccinated. So how we do that and make sure we don't waste a load of hundreds of thousands of AstraZeneca vaccines don't go to waste. So that's all going to happen in the coming days, and we'll get clarity on all of that. There was loads of talk about Wild Mountain Thyme, and it got terrible reviews. I see that Tourism Ireland have used it very effectively as a marketing tool for this country. And they did a YouTube campaign spending more than 17,000 telling people about it. And as a result, 600,000 people watched the movie. And I suppose the thinking is they'll see it, they'll get over the accents, and they'll say, oh, look at that place, we must visit there. And if just a fraction of those 600,000 people holiday here when they can, it'll be great. Money well spent for Tourism Ireland. I'm watching Murder at the Cottage, and there's a couple of things that I want to say, but just very quickly, it's so sad. It's so sad. 25 years since the murder of Sophie Duplantier, and it's her to see her parents there. It's just very, very sad. And they're broken and they'll never recover. And it's a story that's been told loads and loads of times, but I think Jim Sheridan does an amazing job of putting the whole thing together. And I've been aware of the story, but the detail, because so much has happened over the 25 years that you would have sort of listened to on the news and read in the newspaper, and then to have it all together. And the thing that recurs over and over again is how amazing Sophie Toscan Duplantier was, how very beautiful she was, how she was missed by her son and her parents and everybody back in France. And it's fascinating. And there's been a lot of criticism about Jim Sheridan putting himself, in the centre of the story. But isn't that what people like Louis Theroux do? Isn't that what they do? To tell the story properly. And he goes out to Goleen, and he goes here, there and everywhere to see, to be there and to feel the place where she would have been or people were spotted. Anyway, I think it's really well made. Very sad, but really well made, very engaging. And I think if you watch the first one, you'll stay with it for the whole 5. And then there's the other one coming on Netflix before the end of the week. And I'll be watching that as well, and I'm sure you will be. Now, what else is there? Watch loads of stuff on telly. That's allowed. That should be the statistic as well on Irish Holiday. You have to watch a number of programmes that you never watch normally. Like that one about holiday homes you can rent around the world. Have you seen that one on Netflix? That's a bit crazy. 3 mad Americans guiding you through these mad places, like a tree or a house made out of wicker baskets. That's one of them, and then loads of other stuff. Anyway, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed your holiday. I did. You said hello to my mum Anne in Kinsale on Ash Wednesday on the 27th of February, and she is still listening to you and cycling on her exercise bike. She missed you the last 2 weeks and is looking forward to her Ray and Roher time again today. Great to have you back. Thanks, Anya. And I know, Anya, your mum Anne particularly likes the quiz, and the quiz is still here and will be on after 4 o'clock. And while we're mentioning people, I have to mention Bernie as well, because her daughter Keelan was on to me. And you may have heard me mention Bernie over the years. And I meet Bernie when I run around UCD in the morning, and we always say hello. And then we stopped one morning. Hi, I'm Ray, you're Bernie. And then we had the odd chat. And Bernie was a big fan of A Page from My Life, and I signed copies for her and all that sort of thing. She told me about her daughter Keelan. Anyway, Keelan has been on to say that Bernie had a bit of a turn recently, as to say, down the country, but she's on the mend, and she just wanted me to say a big hello to. So hello, Bernie. We missed you around UCD, and get well soon. Now, your mention of the Clare accent and pronouncing thighs reminds me of James Joyce, Portrait of the Artist, as a young man, where he writes the riddle, why is Kildare like a pair of trousers? Answer, because it has got a tie in it. Yes, it has a tie in it. It does, a tie. And it's guys and child. I don't know what it is. TH is the obvious one that we miss out on when we're from the Midlands. But when you say child, that becomes difficult as well. And a guy, child, I don't know. Anyway, somebody explained that to me. For years, I've tried to get an expert in to explain to me where we get accents from. And why, for example, in Kildare town, do I have a completely different accent to a guy from Nurney who's only 5 miles out the road? How does that happen? So if you know anybody who can explain that to us, I know everybody would be fascinated to know the science behind that. Still looking for that person. Anyway, 51551ray@rte.ie. A great interview with Belinda Carlisle in The Guardian today, and she's back on tour in the autumn. We should actually put in and see if she'll take an interview, take a phone call from us. Anyway, Belinda Carlisle starts us off today, 51551ray@rte.ie. Good afternoon. Belinda Carlisle, of course, she was the lead singer with the Go-Go's, and they've been inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I believe there's a good documentary about them available somewhere as well, which I must search out. 51551ray@rte.ie. Jackie says, I adore Mel Brooks. I watched Blazing Saddles at the weekend. It's so funny and totally irreverent. It would not see the light of day in these times. Only just found out that he also co-wrote Get Smart. Comic genius. That was brilliant. Remember Saturday mornings, Get Smart, and the opening titles where you walk down the hallway and all the doors opened and closed. And let's get that music and play it for you. Speaking of music, cue this. Thank you. It's time for our quiz of today, the 28th of June, and we've coupled together 10 questions of events that happened on this day over the years, decades, centuries. And there's a prize, yes. Whoever wins today will get a 2-night stay for 2 adults in the Radisson Blu Hotel and Spa in Cork. A warm and inviting destination on the doorstep of Cork City. The luxurious hotel is a beautiful blend of 18th century Ditchley House, a charming manor house, perfectly restored, and 2 contemporary wings with modern facilities set on 9 acres of lush green gardens. So an ideal place to explore Cork City and its environs. That's the prize, and there's also the spa there, of course. So if you want to be involved, you have to answer a qualifying question. Which Irish county would you find the town of Leixlip? 1850 715 900. In which Irish county would you find the town of Leixlip? 1850 715 900. And we'll have 2 people on after 4 o'clock. And good luck with that.
The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1. Email ray@rte.ie. The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1.
51551 or ray@rte.ie. Now we got an email in to that address from Una Kelly to tell us about her son Matthew Kelly from Tullow. And we were so impressed by Matthew's story that we said we'd invite him in to Studio 7. And Matthew's sitting in front of me. How you doing, Matthew?
Grand yourself, thanks.
Good. Thanks for coming in. Busy man. Just finished the Leaving Cert.
Yep, just finished about a week, 2 weeks ago now.
How did that go?
Stressful.
Yeah.
Well, it was good enough. Some of the exams were painful, but that's every year. Maths especially, but sure, that's nothing new.
Yeah. And I think you played it well. I was reading what you did. You didn't do all subjects in the exam.
No, I took the pressure off as much as I could. I kind of ditched the subjects where I knew I would pass and I didn't need to worry about it, so I could focus on, your English, your business, your maths, and your French is why I ended up sitting. I left Irish PE back just so I could focus on mainly maths.
So they will be accredited grades you get from
grades,
those. Yeah.
From the various tests we had to do throughout the year.
And I know it's been messed up for the last year, but in a way, you've had a nice run of it in that you were allowing yourself more time to study those 4 subjects, weren't you?
Yeah. So I think this year, even though we've gone through a lot, I think this is also one of the best years I've Leaving Cert. We're the only year ever that can wake up on one of the mornings and go, I really don't want to sit this test. No, that's not advised, obviously.
No.
Especially on the Monday morning maths paper 2, I was like, I don't want to sit up on this one.
And of course, it does, I would imagine, lift a bit of the pressure off you.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I was so stressed beforehand, but the minute I had my first exam, I realised, it's only 4. No, I was only going to do 6 anyways. I didn't like my 7th subject, so it was already a little easy. And then only having to sit 4 exams, it made it so much easier.
Okay. The reason we're having you in is that, and this is a big statement, but you saved your grandfather's life.
Yeah.
I
don't like to say it. There was a lot more I played, but obviously.
Well, when the history of your family is written, they'll be saying that 17-year-old Matthew saved his grandfather's life, won't they?
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe. Right. Okay. So it was November of last year.
Yeah, near the end of November, and it was just a normal Sunday night. Sorry, I was being on my video games, not really caring about anything. When I hear my mum rushing down the stairs, calm but rushing, and it was like we need to go up to the grandparents' house there's an emergency. So I didn't quite know what was happening initially. You know, I threw on I only had my gown on at the time, so I threw my shirt on over my gown, which is
very odd.
Yeah. So I quickly lashed off the gown again, rushed out to the car. It was frozen over. Rushing to get the kettle, wiping off with your hands even, and then we're on the way. 3 minutes right the door on the way up. And turns out that every minute was ticking, and we get up there, there's panic, and you know, my grandmother's on the phone with emergency responders, and all I know now is that my grandfather has taken a fall. That's all my mum and I knew. We were working on very little information. We had no idea what happened initially, and we were getting in the door. We didn't know what to be expecting, and I don't think anything could have told me or prepared me for the next 20 minutes of my life. I don't know what you could have said to prepare me, but it was, you know, first thing I do, hug my grandmother again. I didn't know every minute was counting on that stage, but I still took the time to hug her, and then wait for mum to go ahead because she knew what she was doing, and go up the hallway, and there is grandfather collapsed at the bottom of a set of stairs, and it was definitely a frightening experience, but you know, didn't have much time to think about it. You got to get to work, let your instincts kick in. Let my mum just analyse, let her do her thing. I just took orders, I guess.
So what was her read of the situation?
Well, you know, she's long time first responder. She's now retired, but she knew it was dire very quickly. It was you know, there wasn't proper breathing. There was no responses. It was a messy scene. There was glass. It wasn't exactly the safest or nicest scene to look at. So I let my mum take charge initially. We decided that basically he was against the wall. You couldn't work on him where he was, so we had to get him out into the hallway. A lot of heavy lifting in a sense, but you know, 2 minutes were in the door and the CPR was being administered. We knew what we had to do, and a good chunk of it was me doing the compressions, the thing. My mum, I think her job mainly was to keep me in check, and she was doing the breathings. I, in the moment, froze. I forgot there's a mask that you're supposed to use to properly help with the air going through the body. I completely, in the moment, forgot how to use that. It's the thing that my brain fixates on now. In the long term, it didn't make a difference. It was better that I was working. So
all of that stuff was there, was it, in the house? They had a first aid kit.
No, we always carry. We always carry it.
And we'll get to that later on, why you always carry it. So you kicked in. Now, CPR, people don't realise this who haven't practiced it or have had to administer it, but it is very exhausting, isn't it?
It's especially when you're practicing and training. Now the adrenaline did kick in on the day, but you know, 15 minutes later you think you'd get tired after 5, you don't think you'd get tired, but then you start feeling tired after 5 minutes. But adrenaline kicks in, and I think it was about 15 minutes in before I started to realise that I was not doing the best I could. You have to take breaks, especially when thankfully in this situation there was 2 people who knew how to do it. We were able to take turns. Now my mother wasn't able to fully take over, but it gave me enough time just to relax those muscles.
What's going through your head, Matthew? You know, it's, you know, you say adrenaline kicks in. It's a very stressful time. The scene was very messy, as you describe. Is your grandfather responding in any way to your CPR?
No. You know, you're calling out to him just to see. I guess you initially ask you call out Grandad whatever you can do, and then if no response, you have to just start going. But during it, I especially, you know, you'd say Grandad. My mum would say Dad, like wake up whatever you can, but to no avail at the time. So
your grandmother is on the phone to emergency services. Are they helping you out? Are they giving you instructions?
My grandmother was mainly on the phone for most of it. They were just trying to keep her calm, I think. I only spoke on the phone a few times just to try and figure out where the ambulance was. I ended up taking too much jobs. I was trying to speak on the phone, talk to my grandmother, and do the thing at the same time. So I got quite overwhelmed at that stage. But all I remember is being on the phone and starting to panic because that ambulance was initially 25 minutes away when I arrived there. So, you know, he'd already been down now 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's... I mean, the operator will tell you how to do CPR.
Yes, but you knew how to
I
do it.
knew, fortunately enough.
Which is, we'll go back to that now
Yes.
then, because your mum was a first responder and
Yeah.
you had trained at a young age.
Yeah, I'd been getting tips and tricks from, I think I was 8 when an incident happened at home that caused my mum to learn.
Right.
And it was when I came of age that I could be strong enough to even start doing it. I immediately was getting taught, and I think first proper trainings I started to get was when I was around 14, 15. I remember when I was 15, I took a Heart Savers course, so that taught you how to prevent choking and stuff like that. I think that was the name of it.
Right. And
sorry.
I'm fascinated by this because I've done a sort of an evening course, not the full CPR course. What scares me is you described a situation and it's a loved one.
Yeah.
And there's panic and there's all sorts of other stuff going on. And you said already that you'd forgotten to use the mask. And does it all come back naturally from some place in the recesses of your brain? Does it become automatic or?
I guess that's a part of how you react. Some people freeze, some people panic completely. I fortunately have trained to try keep my cool in those situations.
Yeah.
But as I said, I forgot how to use I forgot how to use the mask. That is something that if you had asked me the day before, I would have been like, that's simple.
Yeah.
But things do slip off your mind. But at the end of the day, the operator's there to remind you. Oftentimes, and hopefully in the future, there will be a lot of other people there who will know how to do it. So.
Yeah.
People
So-
can't forget. So
When did the ambulance arrive?
it's a bit of a blur, but
Yeah.
it felt like forever later. It felt like I was there for hours on him. Obviously I wasn't. It was about, I think I was doing CPR for about 20-25 minutes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so the ambulance got there. I think it was initially the paramedics, and it was a miracle. Any later and we were in trouble. So
Okay. And you were CPRing then for a good length of time. The good news is that your granddad has recovered. It was a tough road to recovery, but he has recovered. So in the sort of looking back and the debriefing, if you like, what did the medical people say to you about you and your mother's interventions?
I never spoke to them directly because of COVID.
Yes.
I couldn't go into
Yeah,
hospital.
yeah.
So I kind of just heard through my mum. So I always kind of feel like there's a bit of bias there. My mum's going to obviously make me feel better than I am. But
Big you up, yeah.
she had said that the doctors had basically told her that it needed to be perfect CPR. Even then,
Right.
it was a miracle he'd made it to the ambulance. Never mind the
Okay.
hospital itself. They said it must have been perfect. Now I failed to believe that. I felt like I had made every mistake in the book at the time, but looking back, I'm grateful.
But bad CPR is better than no CPR.
Yeah, definitely. Bad CPR is way better than no CPR.
yeah. And the reason I know that is because I got a course from Bridget Sinnott, and she's resuscitation manager with the Irish Heart Foundation, and she's
Yeah.
on the line. Put on those headphones, will you, for me, Matthew? We're speaking to Matthew Kelly. We'll talk about your award in a moment. How are you doing, Bridget?
I'm good, Ray, and you?
Good, good to talk to you. You've been listening to Matthew's story, and you're familiar with the story even before you heard it today.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Listening to Matthew talking there, you'd say the future is in good hands. There's no doubt about it. and to be honest with you, you obviously did very, very good CPR, Matthew. And for that period of time as well, I mean, your mum is not being biased. We all think the same thing. Like that's super. And really, you're there saying about not remembering how to use the mask.
Yes.
The big things to remember, just for everybody listening, is making that emergency call, and the call taker will tell you what to do. And the second thing then is doing the compressions. It doesn't matter really about the mask at all. Getting in there and doing those compressions makes just such a difference. And you obviously did exactly what you should have done, and I think it's just super, and it just shows what quick action does and about getting in, and the difference as well in having some training, because when your mum had texted me before, like I knew that she had been, she was obviously speaking about CPR in the house. You'd obviously done classes before, and just doing a class makes such a difference. It's definitely, there's a statistic there that says if you've learned CPR even once in your life, you're 10 times more likely to respond.
Uh-huh.
And I think, you're saying there, Ray, like, would you remember? But I think that's what happens is that when people are put into that situation, because you've done it before, it does start to come back to you.
Yeah.
And keep it simple in your head. That's the big thing.
Now, I suppose people witnessed Christian Eriksen, the Danish captain, collapse in front of their eyes 10 days ago or so, and then he got CPR and it saved his life. He's on the road to a full recovery. So it brought to everybody's attention how important CPR is.
It did. And like the thing again there is it was the simple steps that saved Christian Eriksen's life, because immediately it was recognised that he was in trouble. And then there was a call for help, which is calling your emergency services. CPR was started immediately. And then they did arrive with the defibrillator.
Yes.
So it was those simple steps that worked as well. I think we really need to get the message out there. Exactly as you said, some CPR is better than no CPR. You can do no harm, and the quicker you do the steps, the better the person's chances of surviving.
Yeah. Since I came over here to RTE, I've been trying to get some sort of national CPR day where people like yourself would organise free events, and we'd be the media sponsor of it. But it's so important, isn't it?
It is so important. We did have pre-COVID. We had done a programme called Hands for Life, and we did free CPR training across the country. We were supported by Abbott and ESB networks, and it was free CPR training across the country. We did it for 1 year, and then COVID came along into our second year of the programme, and it was just such a shame. But what we did then for COVID, if the listeners do want to remind themselves, if you go to irishheart.ie and you go onto the website, you'll see that there are 3 videos on the website. One is about making that emergency call, and you'll hear exactly then what the call taker asks and the way they stay on the line and what they'll ask you to do. The second video is how to do your compressions, and the third video is how to use an AED. And
that's a defibrillator, yes.
Exactly, that's your defibrillator. And while you're waiting for classes, even if you were to look at that, it might remind you, if nothing else.
Yeah. Now, I remember having the chats with you when myself and David went down to the Irish Heart Foundation to have our evening course, and thanks again for doing that for us. And we were talking about the afters of it, that people who get involved in CPR, there can be a little bit of anxiety afterwards.
Yeah.
The people who give it.
People who give it, well, like in Matthew's situation and Una's situation there, that was their loved one, and they had to get in there, and yes, adrenaline kicks in and you do it, but then afterwards you start to think about, did I do this right, or did I do that right, or could I have done anything different? So the adrenaline definitely starts to come, and we have to be realistic as well. Many people don't survive a cardiac arrest. And that can have a profound impact on people afterwards as well. But by even calling the emergency services,
you're doing a good job,
That's exactly it.
You were nodding there at the beginning, Matthew. Go on.
I just relate to what you were saying. It's where it kicks in, but at the same time, it is still a loved one. I mean, I'm sure I'd have a different experience if it was just some random stranger on the street, and it was tough, and it was the first person I ever done it on. But I mean,
and do you relive that moment?
I have a few times. It sticks with me, and it in a way it haunts me sometimes. But at the end of the day, he survived. He made a miraculous recovery, and that is I think the main thing that keeps me going right now, because otherwise it'd be damaging.
Yeah, we need more people like Matthew. Bridget, listen, you must come into us, and we'll talk about it in more detail.
No problem.
And you can bring in all your bits and pieces.
I'll bring in the mannequins again, no problem.
And your defibrillator and all that sort of thing. Great. Yeah. So we'll do that in the next couple of weeks. Thanks, Bridget. Thank you.
Thanks a million.
Bye now. Bridget Sinnott there, Resuscitation Manager with the Irish Heart Foundation. Now, Matthew, you won an award partly because of what you did with your grandfather, saving his life, and partly because you're an advocate for the LGBTI plus. I don't know if I got all the letters in there.
No, it's okay.
I missed out Q. Sorry. In your area, is it MUI? My Unique Individuality.
Yeah. Youth group in Carlow, part of the Carlow Regional Youth Services, a group I take part in. It's a safe space for LGBT members and allies. It's just a place to support it, to be safe, and it was through their means that I was able to get my voice out. I had done a podcast back in, I think it was October, called Taking Pride. It's a podcast where we were interviewing John Paul Payne, talking about what it was like to grow up in a different time and how things have changed.
Who is John Paul Payne now?
forgot off the top of my head a member of a board in Carlow. Sorry, it slipped my mind there.
Okay, no problem. So you are part of My Unique Individuality, and you support your peers. Your experience of coming out was uneventful.
More than pleasant.
Yes,
I was
more
very
than
lucky.
pleasant, right? Yes,
very
well,
lucky.
Isn't that great? Isn't that great? And I'm sure you'll live in a world in your lifetime,
hopefully,
where coming out won't be a big deal at all. In fact, it's sort of decreasing in importance, isn't it, as the years go by?
Yeah, it's definitely getting easier, at least for a lot of people. And I mean, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to do is make it so everyone can just come out in a safer environment. They don't have to feel judged by their peers, their parents, or their relatives. I mean, I never came out to my grandparents initially. They actually would have found out through radio interview that I did ages ago.
Well, that's one way of telling them.
It's because you don't need to tell everyone all the time. It can be something that you tell a select few, and you can be happy with that. And I never felt the need. It's something that never came up. But that's definitely something I want to try help, is make it better for everyone.
So you won the Garda Youth Award. So it's for your work with My Unique Individuality, and that major act of, I suppose it's courage in a way, in saving your granddad. So have you received the award?
No, I think the ceremony is still a bit in the talks at the moment. I think it's early July. There's meant to be a ceremony going on. I a bit unsure at the moment. I'm waiting to get information back, and I'm looking forward to it. I think it's something that's going to really make go into that ceremony, seeing, I guess, the extent of what all this means for me as well, is something good. So the results will be out in September, a little bit later than normal. What's the plan then? What have you applied for? I've applied for various colleges in Carlow, the two different I've applied for various courses in the two colleges in Carlow, and mainly for social care, psychology and stuff like that. But in the long term, I'm hoping to actually apply for the Guards. It's just you can't bet on it, so I'm making a backup plan, psychology, stuff like that. So and that's to emulate your grandfather. In a way, I'll definitely be making my own name, but I mean, but he was a guard, wasn't he? He's a guard. He's a retired guard, 13 years, and I make a point of that because I was mocked for it last time. But I definitely, he plays a role in that. I'm very kind of proud to be his grandson, and I definitely look up to him, and he's definitely a major role model in my life. And I mean, I'd say he's very proud of you now as well. I hope so. Yeah. Listen, you're an amazing young man, and we wish you the best with whatever happens in September. And I'm sure we'll be hearing more from you. And congratulations on the award. Thank you very much. Thanks for coming in, Matthew. Thank you.
The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1. Text 51551. The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1.
Matthew is a great guy. He truly is a lifesaver. Also, his mum, Una, is an incredible woman and has saved lives over the years involved in our community. We're extremely happy to hear of Matthew saving his grandfather's life. Well done, Matthew, from all of us in Raheny CPR group. And somebody else said, there's ads on the TV showing us how to use roundabouts. It wouldn't take much to do a 3-minute ad on how to do CPR. Don't be afraid to do it. Doing something, even if it's incorrect, it's better than standing around doing nothing while watching someone die. Well, I'm sure there have been informational videos over the years. And of course, in the UK, there was that one with Vinnie Jones, wasn't it? Where he was administering CPR with the Bee Gees Staying Alive in the background. And the significance of Staying Alive was that it's 120 BPM per minute. So you're supposed to do it, saying 120 compressions per minute. That's why they use that particular song. Now, Conor Pope is in the building but not in studio. Hello, Conor. Hi, Ray. I'm like the Schrodinger's cat of radio contributors. I'm both here and not here at the same time. Is this your first time not here, if you know what I mean? It is, actually. It's first time since 2020. Yes. So all good. Fully vaccinated now. I am too. So I could. How are you? I could have people lick me or cough in my face, and it wouldn't make any difference. I think it takes a couple of weeks because I was vaccinated on Friday. So when did you get your vaccination? Actually, I won't be fully vaccinated until this coming Friday. So I was 8 days ago, or like Friday week. What do they say then? You got Pfizer as well. What do they say? How many days before you're fully vaccinated? Well, it's 14. 14. Okay, yeah. So it'll be 2 weeks. Yeah. So it'll be Friday. Did you find that the atmosphere getting the second vaccine differed from the atmosphere getting the first vaccine? No, not really. Right. But actually, to be honest, I got vaccinated from my GP. Oh, did you? Oh, because, that was just ridiculous. So. Yeah, no. For some reason, like because I told people when the first time the mood was nearly celebratory.
Yeah.
The first day, smiles, hello, nearly high fives, but you couldn't because, obviously. But on Friday, it was more perfunctory, it was like, and very quiet. No laughs, no chats.
Well, I can tell you, I can appreciate that, because I think the first one, there was so much build up to it. It was so, like, everyone had been waiting such a long time to get this vaccination. And once you get the vaccination, you're like, you can almost breathe again.
Yes.
It's like a decompression. And then for the second one, you're just basically going, okay, we just get over this one
yes,
now. And then I'm done and dusted.
It is perfunctory, yeah.
Absolutely.
It's just
but there is that real sense of relief. And, like, thank God for science and all that, because it means that, people who have been vaccinated and the people who are looking forward to getting vaccinated in the weeks and months ahead will be able to resume their normal life. And when we see all these variants coming down the tracks, it is still a very frightening illness. And that's why I think I personally have to be delighted.
And there was a lovely man, and I should give him particular mention, Rex. I think he could have been a Kiwi or maybe Australian. I know people from New Zealand would be offended, but I can't tell the difference between the accents. And he was telling people as they went up the escalator, he was the only person who was chatting, saying that you will feel very relieved tomorrow. So he was saying, like, okay, you're all very silent now with your heads in your phones and you're not very celebratory, but tomorrow when you wake up you'll realise that you're fully vaccinated in 14 days time. Okay. Dear Conor, I was given a one for all voucher for my 70th birthday in December of 2019. I didn't get to use it between December 2019 and March 2020, and you know what happened then. The country opened up in December, but because I was part of the vulnerable, I was afraid to go shopping. I don't shop online. Fast forward to January 2020, back in lockdown for 5 months. Now I'm 71. Don't tell anyone. When we opened, I thought I would go shopping and spend my voucher. Why wouldn't you? We checked to see how much the card was worth, only to find they had taken €1.46 each month from December to May. I've tried every way to contact them, but they are just ignoring me. Can you tell me if this is legal? And is it legal when the shops are closed? I cannot shop online, as anything I have ever bought had to be returned. That's very interesting. It's a COVID specific voucher.
It is,
problem.
And I'd say this listener is not alone. I'd say this has happened to a lot of people, because just imagine the entire cohort of people who might have got vouchers in the Christmas 2019, March of 2020, everything went into lockdown. There was a brief period when it was reopened, and then we went into lockdown again. The answer to the question that the listener poses, is it legal? The answer is yes. And under the gift voucher legislation that was passed by the Dáil a couple of years ago, there were certain rules put in place governing vouchers. Now, one of the rules was that vouchers had to have an expiry limit of at least 5 years. So that took away that avenue down which a lot of retailers went, which they were imposing an expiry limit of a year or even less. But one of the rules that they didn't put in place, which a lot of people had advocated for, which was the abolition of charges associated with gift cards like One for All, or indeed the Dundrum Town Centre card or other cards. It's not just One for All. And those companies are allowed to charge a maintenance fee once the card hasn't been used for the first 12 months.
Okay.
Now, to be fair to One for All, there are reasons for that. And, so it's not like it's a good guy versus bad guy thing here. Because what One for All do is they take your money, they put it into a special account, and no matter what happens to One for All as a company, and no matter what happens to all the retailers, your money is protected. Okay? So that comes at a cost.
Okay,
so it's
I
not
accept that. But here's the thing, right? And there is a lot of small print around these things, and usually we don't read it and we just click accept, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But is there any small print about a pandemic, a global pandemic?
Of course not. And actually, because one of the things that we've said before on the show, Ray, is like I always say to people, when you get your vouchers, spend the damn things as soon as you can,
right,
because they're just sitting in your house, not doing anything,
losing value anyway.
Losing value, absolutely. But the whole idea is that if you get a voucher and you spend it, not only are you getting something that you might want or like, which is a good thing, you're also putting money back into the economy for the retailer who's shifted stock, which means that they can buy more stock, and then somebody else might buy something, and you're giving some money to the One for All voucher people. Okay, so like there's a whole cycle that happens there. But if you just keep the voucher, well, then nothing happens.
Yeah.
But here we are. When you're in a scenario where there's a pandemic and you can't shop, well, then that's a different scenario. And similarly, like it's okay to say, oh, well, you could use the voucher online. A lot of people don't like shopping online. I mean, I know that sometimes we get swept away in a wave of, everybody's shopping online nowadays. There's still hundreds of thousands of people who are uncomfortable shopping online, and that's entirely their prerogative. So so I got in touch with One for All today, and they gave me the full breakdown of what it is that the company does and how it's regulated by the central bank and what it does to the money to protect it and all of these things, and they're entirely legitimate. And it also says, it makes clear that this rule is a long-standing rule and it's on the card. But like, of course, there's no mention of a pandemic on the card. But what they have said is they've introduced a no quibble policy. So anybody in our listeners' position who can make contact with them will get the refund of the charge.
Ah, great.
Okay. Now, the difficulty here is our listener, she was struggling to find out where to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our listener in touch with One for All, and they're going to give her the money. And, to be honest, it's a tenner or something like that.
I know.
But it's the principle of the thing more than anything else. And I think it's important to share with your other listeners that if they find themselves in that position, and if they find that they weren't in a position to use their One for All gift card over a period of months because of the pandemic and its value has depleted, One for All will accommodate them for that.
What do they want, though? Do they want an essay about why you couldn't spend your
honestly
voucher?
I think if you make contact with the company and say,
Right.
I couldn't spend my voucher between my voucher expire the 12-month limit was in October of 2020. I couldn't use it from 2020 to May of 2021. They will refund you now the thing is, what they could do, I'm sure if they had the mechanisms in place, they could automatically refund everybody. But then again, some people will have been comfortable going into shops, or some people will have been comfortable going online to use their cards. So I can fully understand.
It's a difficult enough one, because One for All shouldn't benefit from the pandemic, if you know what I mean.
Absolutely. And to be fair to One for All, I don't think they're trying to benefit from it.
I know. But then, that being said, then maybe they should just do a blanket cancellation of those deductions for the period of the pandemic.
Do you know what? I think that's a great idea. And not only them, but all of the companies that have those maintenance fees. Because it's not like it would cost them. We're not talking staggering amounts of money here.
And it'd be a lovely goodwill gesture.
Exactly. Well, because, when you think about it, most people will have used the cards, or at least used a portion of them in the 12 months, so they'll be fine. There's a small cohort who won't have used the cards.
Like our emailer here.
Like our listener, and she could benefit from it.
Yes.
So it probably wouldn't cost them a huge amount of money, but I think what they're doing is they're doing it on a case-by-case basis, and as people approach them and as people make contact with them, they'll give them the refunds.
Of course, they know that a lot of people won't be bothered.
Sure, listen, Ray, as we've talked about endlessly on the show, so many people never use the cards at all.
Yes, okay.
Because they get the money.
Give us the stat again there. I sort of love it and hate it at the same time.
It's something like 30, in times gone by, more than 30% of all gift cards.
And what are we talking?
We're talking
millions every year.
Tens of millions every single year.
Unused
goes to waste.
Vouchers. Yeah.
And that's money in the bank for the retailers if it's a gift card sold by a specific retailer, or it's money literally in the bank of companies like One for All.
Yeah.
And that's why they have these charges, because they know that there's people who are just never going to use the cards, and they can't just keep that money on deposit in some account for the rest of eternity waiting for the person to use the card. So as a result, the maintenance card would eventually erode the value of the card, or the maintenance charge would at least.
Right, it's something we will return to, I am sure,
no doubt,
in the coming months. Conor, thank you very much. Good to see you out, although I can't see you. Pricewatch at rte.ie if you want Conor's help with any consumer issues. Thanks, Conor. Mind yourself.
Bye-bye.
Quick commercial break.
The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1.
Grandma Eileen, thank you very much. 51551 or ray at rte.ie. Let's see what you're saying on the text thingamajig. Just on CPR, I did this Hands for Life course 2 years ago. Everyone should learn how to do it. Maybe it should be introduced in schools. Very good idea. And with the vouchers, I had a similar problem with One for All. I emailed them explaining the same, and they came back and refunded the deductions, as Conor was saying. And on vaccines, we 60-somethings will definitely celebrate second jab whenever we get there after the long wait, still being told we are at high risk. I feel a bit guilty. Here I am, not in my 60s, in my 50s, and I've got the two, and you're in your 60s and you haven't got the two. It doesn't seem fair. Ray, maintenance charges means that vouchers are a silly choice as a gift. People must get over their embarrassment about giving actual money as a gift. €50 cash is much better than a silly voucher that ends up being worth nothing. Yeah. Patrick, that's a brilliant point. That's a brilliant point. And actually, it's easier to make a point like that. Here we are in June, because when it comes to Christmas, sort of emotions take over, don't they? Oh no, couldn't give them cash. That's vulgar. That's vulgar. But of course, you're giving them a voucher, and the amount is on it. So it's yeah. We get a full programme of discussing that. Cash over vouchers. You make a very brief but cogent point there, and you argue well for cash over vouchers. I'm going to print that off and put it in my back pocket, Patrick, and reread it come the end of November of this year. And I'm thinking about buying all those one for all vouchers that I do. Anyway, thanks for that. Now it's time for our quiz of today. Today, the 28th of June, and the prize from Inua.ie, INUA.ie. There's loads of hotels on offer there. And the hotel that's involved in our prize today is the Radisson Blu Hotel and Spa in Cork, a warm and inviting destination on the doorstep of Cork City. They've the old and the new, with an 18th century Ditchley house and 2 contemporary wings, no less. The West Wing and the East Wing. And 9 acres of lush green gardens, and all there just nicely positioned to explore Cork and its environs. Inua.ie. I think it's, did it say Inua? Inua, yes, Inua. INUA.ie. Now, Michelle Cahill is on the line. How do you do, Michelle?
Hi, Ray.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
You're in Malahide in County Dublin.
I am indeed.
You have a new bus service out there, have you?
We do, yeah. The new H-Spine started a couple of days ago.
A new H-Spine, is that what it's called?
Yeah, H1, H2, H3. I think it's the H2 from Malahide, I'm not sure.
Right. And it's part of a spine that goes through the city, is that why it's called H-Spine?
Yeah, I think it runs from Host through to the city, and then there's spurs off it to Portmarnock, Baldoyle and Malahide.
And does the H refer to Hoth, or is it the shape of it?
I don't think so. I think it's an alphabetical.
It's an alphabetical thing, right?
I think so.
Right, okay. What are you up to today?
I'm at home, just getting organised, doing housewifey things.
Yes, you're busy because you've 4 teenage boys.
I do. I have from 12 to 18.
How's that going for you?
Okay, it was fairly busy now during lockdown. We had the 4th and doing remote learning. They were all in secondary school.
Yeah.
But, it was fine. We got through it.
Yeah, and they get on, do they?
Most of the time. Like, boys and sibling rivalry. Most of the time they're pretty good, though.
And how do you expend their energy?
Oh, sports.
Yeah.
They play football and training, and 2 of them are in scouts. And just basically keep them busy. Right,
okay. And there was a time there at the beginning, because your husband works in pharmaceuticals, that he was working 7 days a week. The 4 of them were on homeschooling on the whole thing. So the Wi-Fi must have been kaput, was it?
It was hammered. We had to go and invest in those plug-in things
through
the electric circuits.
They work. I invested in those as well.
Yeah, we ended up getting 2 because my husband had to have it for work. He hosts Zoom calls and things, quite important. And then subsequently, the boys wanted it for their Xbox when they heard how well it worked.
Yes, and then you can plug your telly into it as well. If you have a modern H for a smart TV, that plugs in as well.
Yeah, we haven't done that one yet. The other 2 now, I have to say, are working great, thankfully.
Great. And as I said, they're not that expensive. It seems to work.
No.
My understanding is that it uses the wiring of the house
the electric circuit.
To enhance your Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So
it worked well.
It's taken. Wait till I just analyse this. People will correct me now, but it's taken a wireless signal and making it
wired.
Yes, that's it.
I don't understand too much about the technology. My husband did all the research.
Yeah, but there you go. I did it myself, and I bought them, and it works, and that's fine. Anyway, right, you're up against Aideen Brett, Castlebar, County Mayo. How are you doing, Aideen?
Hi, Ray. How are you?
Good. Is Brett a Mayo name?
Our Brett. Well, it's originated, I think, in France.
Right.
Breton, I think, Brittany. But our family is stretching back centuries in this country.
Right, yeah. Because I knew 2 Bretts. There was one in Kildare, and then there's Noel Brett. I think he's Noel Brett from the Road Safety Authority, and I don't know who he works for now. Yeah, he's over that direction, isn't he? Is he related?
A relation of mine, Noel. Yeah, he is.
He is. Oh, he's a relation. Okay, there you go. Because it's not that common a name, is it? Brett.
It's not. No. There's a few of us down here. There's a few splattered around the country already.
Right, okay. And you swapped counties for the weekend?
I did. I had a trip up to Sligo, up to see my other half up there. So, so we had a lovely weekend. Spent some time in the sea and at the coast, and it's just stunning up there. So had a lovely weekend. Just back now, just a couple of hours. So.
I know there's a lot of people going on about sea swimming, but you just, there's something very special about it, getting in and out, isn't there? There's just...
Well, to be honest, I wasn't really swimming. We were kayaking.
Oh, you were kayaking, okay.
Did a bit of sea kayaking. And
did you fall in at all? No.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go. Unintentionally, you did a bit of sea swimming.
In my wetsuit.
Well, you got a mouthful of salt water anyway. So
I got a big mouthful, right? It was very funny, yeah. As it was my you've been framed moment.
Epic fail.
Time stand-up paddling, so I was kind of, especially when there's a little bit of a current and there's a little bit of roughness compared to, like an inland lake or whatever, it would be a bit more wavy. But I didn't spend too much time on the paddle standing up, but I did sit down on it, and I was in the canoe as well. So that was great fun. It was lovely to see the land from outside. We're looking up.
A different perspective, isn't it? A different perspective.
Beautiful, yeah.
Now you've two teenage girls, and you've taken the day off because you're going for a barbecue this evening. Is the weather that good in Castlebar?
We're going to fire it up in the back garden. Yeah, it's beautiful here. It's about 18 degrees.
Oh, nice,
sunny.
Nice, right?
Yeah,
and what is it? Burgers and sausages or what? Or?
I'd say it'll just be burgers and a bit of salad. I have a bit of salad growing in the garden, so we're going to use that. Yeah.
Do you know what I've discovered recently, which is worth the effort? Caramelized onions, and it's 3 or 4 onions. It takes about half an hour, 40 minutes. A bit of balsamic vinegar at the end with sugar, and yummity. It just makes
the sweetness. Yeah, they're gorgeous.
Oh yeah, and then the burger and the combination of the ketchup and yum.
My mouth is watering now.
Yeah, I'm on my own at home, so I won't be making a burger for myself. But I'll dream about it. Okay,
come and join us.
Thank you. I'll be there. It might take me 4 hours, but I'll be there. Right, so it's Aideen Brett takes on Michelle Cahill. 5 questions each. Whoever answers most correctly gets the prize, which is that weekend away in Cork. If it's a draw at the end of 5 questions, then we go to a tie break. Good luck, Michelle. Good luck, Aideen. Here we go.
Good luck, Michelle.
Okay, Michelle, first question for you. On this day in 1963, Bellande Terry was inaugurated as president of Peru. On what continent would you find Peru?
South America.
Correct. Aideen, your first question. On this day in 1992, Burhanuddin Rabbani became president of Afghanistan. On what continent would you find Afghanistan?
Asia?
Yeah, Asia is the correct answer.
Yeah.
Michelle, your second question is an audio one. Have a listen to this.
Remember, dear, no question.
Yeah, but
Right, wax on, right hand. Wax off, left hand. Wax on, wax off. Breathe in through nose, out the mouth.
Now, this day in 1932, Noriyuki Pat Morita, American actor, was born in California. You heard him there alongside Ralph Macchio as Mr. Miyagi. In which film?
I don't know, Ray.
No idea.
No.
Have a guess.
No. James Bond movie?
No. Karate Kid. It's that wax on, wax off. That's the famous quote from it. Anyway, there you go. If you didn't know it, you didn't know it. It's not one that you could guess, really.
No.
Okay. Audio question for you, Aideen. Have a listen to this.
I confess. It is my intention to commandeer one of these ships, pick up a crew and Tortuga, raid, pillage, plunder, and otherwise pilfer my Weasley black guts out. Unless, of course, he knew you wouldn't believe the truth, even if he told it to you.
On this day in 2003, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl premiered on Disneyland. Can you name the actor you heard there who plays the part of Jack Sparrow in the movie?
Johnny Depp.
Correct answer. Okay, Michelle, third question for you. On this day in 1992, the Constitution of Estonia was signed into law. Which of these is the capital city of Estonia? Tallinn or Minsk?
Tallinn.
Yeah, Minsk is Belarus. And for you, Aideen, on this day in 2004, Lithuania joined the European Exchange Rate Mechanism. Which of these is the capital city of Lithuania? Vilnius or Riga?
Oh, gosh. Let's say Riga.
That's Latvia. We were looking for Vilnius.
Oh.
Okay. So we're even after 3 questions. It's 2 each. Michelle, music question for you. Have a listen.
No matter when or where or who has one thing in common too. It's a sin.
It's a sin, number 1 on this day in 1987. Can you name the group?
Pet Shop Boys?
Yes, is correct. And Aideen, your music question. Have a listen. was number one in 1990, the song Sacrifice. Can you name the singer?
Elton John.
Correct. And he actually is related to the other song as well, because he recently did a duet with Ollie Alexander of It's a Sin, which was released recently on the back of the Brit Awards. So it's 3-3, one question to go. Very close. Get this right, Michelle, your final question, and you put Aideen under a good bit of pressure. Good luck with this. On this day in 1919, the Treaty of Versailles, ending World War I and establishing the League of Nations, was signed in France, I should say. Which of these countries has a larger population than France? South Africa, Egypt, or Afghanistan? Egypt, you said very quickly and with confidence. Afghanistan 38 million, South Africa 59 million, France has a population of 65 million, and Egypt 102. So correct. Well done, Michelle. So the figures for you: 4 out of 5. You can't do anything else. Just wait and see how Aideen does. Aideen, a little bit of pressure on now. It's like a penalty situation here. You've one last question. Get it right, we go to a tie-break. Get it wrong, and Michelle goes away with the prize. Here we go. Good luck. On this day in 1946, Enrico De Nicola became the first president of Italy. Which of these countries has a larger population than Italy? South Korea, Thailand, or Argentina?
Thailand.
You said quickly and with confidence. Argentina, 45 million. South Korea, 51 million. Italy has a population of 60 million. And yes, Thailand, 69 million is the correct answer. So, we're into a tie-break situation. And I'm not very fond of this, but it's the only way we can sort it out. So you were asked this question before you went on air. Here it is for our listeners at home. On this day in 1939, Pan American's Yankee Clipper landed at Foynes Flying Boat Base in Limerick. According to Google Maps, how long would it take to cycle from Foynes to Thurles if you were making that journey? We want the answer in hours and minutes. Can you remember your guess? Michelle?
4 hours 10, right?
You said 4 hours 10. And it's a distance of 103 kilometres. Aideen, can you remember your guess?
Yeah, I was way out. I said 2 hours, 17 minutes.
Yeah, they want to be an electric bike. I saw some fancy electric bikes in my last 2 weeks. There's some very fancy ones out there, and they would get you there in 2 hours 17 minutes. Unfortunately, you're right, you're way out. The correct answer is 5 hours and 6 minutes. So Michelle, you were closest. Sorry about that, Aideen.
Not at all. Congratulations, Michelle.
We'll send you out a couple of mugs, and enjoy the barbecue this evening.
Will do, and say hi. I want to say hi to Manu and all my family as well.
Okay, right. You did that.
Okay.
Thanks, Aideen. Mind yourself.
Very
See you.
good.
Enjoy the barbecue. See you. Bye. Michelle.
That's great, Ray. Thank you.
What I didn't say while we were talking before the quiz is that you have a staycation organised in Cork.
We do, yeah. We're actually heading away next month. We have a house in West Cork for a week.
Now you can include 2 nights.
Hopefully the hotel will be able to accommodate us either before or after that week. It'd be brilliant.
Yeah, you and 4 teenage boys. When they hear that, they probably say no. But anyway.
They go anywhere they're paid for, Ray.
Okay, well, enjoy that and enjoy the rest of the holiday as well. And well done. Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Ray.
Michelle. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1. Email ray@rte.ie. The Ray D'Arcy Show on RTE Radio 1.
Let's see what you're saying. Patrick suggested cash over vouchers, and then David has been, I said, just a counterbalance argument to the person who suggested cash instead of a voucher, which is a very fine point. However, I own a business in my town, and I like to give vouchers from other shops in my town to my staff and relations as a thank you to those owners who supported my coffee shop throughout the year, and that's why I give vouchers. The other thing is, and I just thought about it there during the ad break, is some of the reason, or part of the reason that I would give vouchers over cash is cash can be spent on things that you may not agree with. And I know if you're giving somebody a gift, they should be able to do with it what they wish. But, you know, if you give them cash, they could go spend it on whatever, cigarettes, drink, blah, 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 blah. If you give them a voucher, less likely to do that. So that's part of the reasoning as well, I think. Now, live theatre is back at the Abbey Theatre. Actress Pom Boyd has appeared in One Good Turn in front of a reduced audience, and she also had a brilliant turn, excuse the pun, in Frank of Ireland, and she's down in a booth somewhere in the building. I'm mystified by these booths. Pom, how are you?
How are you, Ray?
Good to talk to you.
You too.
Yeah, Pom first. Let's get that out of the way. It's Pom as opposed to Pam.
Yes.
Go on.
P-O-M. You think I'd be used to explaining it at this stage? It's a family nickname that
Right.
my mother gave me when I was a baby, and I was called Pom Pom because I looked like one when I was a baby.
Okay.
And it stuck, and it got shortened to
Pom.
So,
And do you ever divulge your real name?
Patricia.
All right. Well, it begins with a P anyway.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah, because sometimes when I saw your name, I thought that's a typo. It's obviously Pam.
Oh, I know.
There's. Have you ever met another Pam?
No, but I looked it up on Facebook, and there's another Pom. There's several Pom boys.
Is there?
Yeah, in the States.
It's so big, I suppose. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's an actress called Pom, but Pomme in France, which you'd kind of expect. Cause
Is this? Yeah, Apple. Yeah. So Apple Boyd.
Yeah, Apple Boyd.
Yeah, right. So that's out of the way. So
that's
Pom
the name out
Boyd,
of the way,
right?
yeah.
Right. One good turn. I actually, because you can still watch it
Yes.
online. So I watched not all of
did
it,
you?
but I watched a bit of it today.
Oh, very good.
Because back in the day, you probably know this. I don't know if you do,
Mm.
but in RTE they didn't have editing. So when they were doing dramas, they had to shoot them in one go,
Right.
which is the equivalent to what you're doing now, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is. And it'd be amazing if that came back actually to TV, because I think there's an appetite for it.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was great to do the live show. It was
How many people were there in the Abbey?
audience.
Yes.
50.
And what's that?
So
is that
I think the capacity is 400.
so 1/8, right?
Yeah. But it was still they were very warm audiences. Everyone was delighted to be there, obviously,
Yeah.
and it was actually quite.
As an actor,
emotional.
though, you can't see because the lights are in your eyes.
Yeah. Some depends on the theatre. Some theatres you can
Right.
see bloody everybody when you don't want to, but in the Abbey you can't. And
Right.
then we had the cameras as well,
Yeah.
sliding up and down, on dollies.
Right.
So,
And were they an extra hindrance?
well, I tell you what was the hindrance was wearing the radio mics every night.
Yes.
That kind of they're just uncomfortable, and you're
Where
very conscious
did
of
the
them.
mic? Because I couldn't see them.
Yeah, could you not?
No.
Oh, the sound people will be delighted to hear that. Well, it depended who you were. With me, they hid it in my hair, which
Okay.
luckily I have some. So, and down the back, and then around your waist,
Yes.
the packs, the battery pack. Like
So
film.
it's stuck into your hair.
Yeah, they were woven into the hair.
So it's just, and so the little mic then would just be above your hairline.
Yeah,
would it?
you could actually, if you look closely, you can probably see it.
Yeah, because the sound is very good in it.
Yeah, the sound is brilliant. And visually, I thought it looked beautiful as well. I thought it looked had a sort of.
Do you know what it reminded me of?
Yeah.
Because those American sitcoms where
exactly,
didn't
that's
it?
what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It got kind of a 1970s
Sitcom because and people will know this. I better describe it to them because they won't have seen it.
Yeah.
Is that the stairs come right down into the living kitchen area?
very American.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if houses like that exist or whether they're just made for television.
Yeah, I think there's a certain 70s style bungalow type house that I always wanted to live in when I was a kid that did have that.
Yes,
that American style.
A sort of dormer bungalow type thing. Yes.
Yeah.
Which coincidentally, Frank of Ireland, you lived in a dormer bungalow, didn't you?
Actually, that was a two-story
Oh,
house.
was it a two-storey house? Sorry.
In Belfast.
Oh, right.
In a suburb in Belfast.
Okay. Now, we won't leave one good turn yet.
Well, okay.
So it's a new play by
Una McKevitt.
Yes.
And it's written by Una, was directed by Emma Jordan, and it has a cast of 6, I think. And it's about caring. It's a very deceptively simple little play. It's about caring for a loved one, in this case the father.
Yes.
And I think
you're the nurse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the home care.
Yes,
you
yes,
know,
yeah, yeah.
anyone who has an elderly parent.
Helen, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had your own medical issues during it because one of yours got COVID.
Yeah. This is the sort of thing that we have to deal with now, that everybody has to deal with. And the Abbey, I have to say, were very well up on their game about this. My son got COVID after the first week of rehearsal, I think it was.
Yeah.
So that was like, oh God, you're close contact, obviously, and you just can't go in. So I had to not come into rehearsals. I didn't even know if they'd have to recast. But even that would have created its own problems because they're recasting, but also that person could end up being a close contact.
And can you do rehearsals on Zoom?
You can. I didn't.
Right.
And like when we were live rehearsing, a lot of none of the set design or those people, they'd all Zoom in. They came in on Zoom, so there was a mixture of Zoom. but it wouldn't really have worked. You know, it's
Yeah.
so physical. You have to where your moves are and all that. But luckily, Helen isn't. I'm not one of the family members which are in all the scenes.
Yes.
So I was able to miss those 10 days.
Okay.
And pick back up.
Describe to me the opening night, because you know people have been talking about the void in people's life because of the lack of theatre, music, comedy, all of those things that I suppose make life worthwhile. You know, they give us sort of something to look forward to.
Yeah, they really do. And the thing is, you know, you get on with your day to day, like when you're in lockdown, make the dinner, your routine, all of that, and you kind of don't know what you're missing. And it's only when it comes back, like when it was very emotional. The audience were very emotional, and I don't know, the actors, we were so emotional, but I kept finding myself tearing up, like when the Bonanza music, I don't know if you've got to that bit in the play, but they play Bonanza, and for some reason every night backstage that would make me cry, partly because you see Bosco Hogan coming down the stairs, you know, he's emphysema and he's got the tubes coming out of him, juxtaposed with that music, there's something very moving about it. But I just found myself tearing up backstage, and I was going, what is this, you know? But it's kind of, you don't know what you've missed.
But that's it, isn't it? All those things we took for granted, you know, going out to see a play, going to see a band, going to a comedy gig, you know, all those things.
And just being up close and personal with other people. You know, although we're still not really doing that. But.
Listen, one of the silver linings out of the lockdown was Frank of Ireland. We loved it at home. Like, loved it. And your part as Mary, Frank's mother, just debauchery and on any word like that you can use.
I know.
You were bold and you were wild,
sociopathic.
Yes. Loud, lecherous, predatory,
all those things.
All those things.
No edit button. Not typecast.
I'm sure it's still there on the 4-player or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
So it seemed like you had a lot of crack making it.
Well, we did. You know, I mean, obviously it's a serious business making.
Yes, comedy, I know.
Making comedy and shooting, you know, there's pressure. And I certainly think Brian and Donal were under a lot of pressure, and the other writer, Mike Maloney, their school friend from school, you know. But we did, I mean, it was lovely to work with them. It was lovely to work with Pat Short. Liz Fitzgibbon is in Frank of Ireland, and she's also in One Good Turn. She plays the MMA instructor who throws doofus around. So she's also in One Good Turn. So it was great to work with her again in the play. And Sarah Green, who played Anya, and Brendan Gleeson then in the I don't think I'm giving anything away by saying
No. Well, he appears in the final episode, and there's Brian and Donal, and it's great. Highly recommended from here if you haven't seen it.
Brilliant.
And do you think there'll be a second Frank of Ireland?
I don't know.
No.
I really have no idea. I don't know if it took a lot out of them. You know, there was a lot of stress. And fair play to them. They were amazing, but they were writing it. You know, Donal and Mike Maloney were writing it, and so they were really under pressure and performing in it and getting it. And then we had COVID in the middle. We had to stop filming.
They know to say anything worthwhile, you know. It takes a good bit of effort.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you better do the plugs. You're not on to do the plugs, but I'm going to give you an opportunity. So your daughter's in a band called.
Okay.
Those plugs. Yeah, quick.
Okay,
you don't have
family plugs.
Yeah.
So Cruel Sister, she's just her My Forever is her EP, which is up on Spotify at the moment.
And your hubby.
And my hubby's Dr. Miller, Sean Miller, and I can't believe I'm doing this. His EP is Look What She Threw Away. It's it's beautiful.
And is your son involved in music as well?
Oh Jesus, sorry, no, he's doing his leaving cert,
but he wants to do music, right?
Yes,
okay,
he does.
So what about the family band? We'll have you in Studio 10 when you get together.
Okay.
So One Good Turn, is it still running or is it just available on videos?
No, it's on demand now. You can watch it on demand till the 10th of July.
Yes,
so.
As I did today. It'll cost you 20 quid.
Brilliant. 20.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
and you'll hear a bit of this and you'll tear up. Okay, Pam Boyd, great talking to you.
Okay, thanks, Ray.
Great. Mind yourself. See you. Bye. Hey ho! And belts, are on our horses, and off we go into the sunset, making way for Cormac and Sarah. We're back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Enjoy the rest of your Monday evening, and we'll talk to you then. Where's the... No, they've taken that one. Right.
It's the Ray Darcy Show on RTE Radio 1. Have a great summer.